You stupid girl. Do you have any idea what you've done?
The coffee hit his $1,000 suit before Lily even realized her hands were shaking. She watched the dark liquid spread across the white fabric like poison, watched his ice blue eyes turn from surprise to fury, watched his jaw clench so hard she thought his teeth might crack. The entire restaurant went silent. Forks froze midair. Conversations died. Every head turned to stare at the black girl in the coffee shop uniform who just destroyed the outfit of Blake Ashford, the youngest billionaire CEO in the city, the man whose face was on every magazine cover, whose name made grown men nervous, whose reputation for crushing people who crossed him was legendary. "You stupid girl," he said, his voice low and deadly calm. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Lily opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Her hands trembled as she held the empty tray. This morning she'd been running late to her waitressing job at Sterling's, the fancy restaurant where rich people ate $30 salads and treated servers like furniture. She'd skipped breakfast, forgotten her phone, and now, in one clumsy second, she'd just ruined her entire life. If you're already hooked and want to see how this story unfolds, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a like, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Blake stood up, towering over her. He was tall, maybe 6'3", with dark hair swept back from a face that looked carved from stone. Handsome in that cruel, perfect way that made you think of Vikings and villains. His suit probably cost more than Lily made in 6 months. The watch on his wrist could pay her rent for a year. "I'm so sorry," Lily finally whispered. "It was an accident. I didn't mean to." "Accident?" His laugh was sharp as broken glass. "You crashed into me like a blind elephant. Were you even looking where you were going?" Heat flooded Lily's cheeks. Around them, people whispered and pointed. Phones came out. Someone was definitely recording this. By tonight, she'd be viral for all the wrong reasons. The clumsy black waitress who attacked Blake Ashford with coffee. They'd make memes. Her face would be everywhere. "I'll pay for the cleaning," she said, knowing it was pointless. She had maybe $200 in her bank account. The suit probably needed special dry cleaning that cost more than her monthly food budget. Blake's eyes raked over her, taking in her cheap uniform, her worn shoes, her hair pulled back in a simple bun. His lip curled with disgust. "You'll pay? With what? Your tips from serving coffee to people actually worth something?" The words hit like slaps. Lily's throat tightened. She wanted to cry but refused to give him the satisfaction. She'd learned young that crying in public only made things worse. Made people think you were weak. Made them hurt you more. "That suit cost $8,000, Blake continued, his voice getting louder, making sure everyone heard. "Which means you'll be working here for free for the next 6 months just to cover it, if they don't fire you first." "Blake," a woman's voice called from the table he'd been sitting at. A blonde in a red dress, beautiful and bored. "Just let it go. We're going to be late." He ignored her. His eyes stayed locked on Lily like a predator deciding how to finish its prey. "What's your name?" "Lily," she said quietly. "Lily." He said it like it tasted bad. "Well, Lily, you just learned a very expensive lesson. Some people matter, some people don't. And people like you need to remember their place." Something cold moved through Lily's chest. Not fear anymore, something sharper. She lifted her chin and met his eyes straight on. "I said I was sorry. I'll find a way to pay you back. But you don't get to talk to me like I'm trash." Blake's eyebrows rose. Around them, the gasps were audible. Nobody talked back to Blake Ashford. Nobody. "Excuse me?" His voice dropped to a whisper that somehow felt louder than shouting. "You heard me?" Lily said, her heart hammering so hard it hurt. "I made a mistake. I apologized. But I'm still a person. I still have dignity. And you standing here calling me names in front of everyone doesn't make you powerful. It makes you a bully." For a second, just a second, something flickered in Blake's eyes. Surprise, maybe, or respect. But it vanished as quick as it came. "You're fired." The restaurant manager appeared at Lily's elbow, his face red and sweaty. "Pack your things and get out. Now." Blake smirked. Problem solved. He dropped a business card on the table. "When you figure out how you're going to pay me back, call that number. My assistant will set up a payment plan, assuming you can even afford the phone call." He walked out with the blonde on his arm, leaving Lily standing in the middle of the restaurant, surrounded by staring faces and whispered insults, holding her empty tray like a shield. She didn't cry until she got to the alley behind the restaurant. 3 weeks later, Lily stood in front of the biggest building in the city, staring up at the name carved in stone above the entrance. ASHFORD Industries. She shouldn't be here. After Blake got her fired, she'd applied to 17 other restaurants. Nobody would hire her. The video of their confrontation had gone viral. Everyone in the service industry knew her face, knew she'd talked back to Blake Ashford. Nobody wanted that kind of trouble in their business. Her savings were almost gone. Her rent was due in 5 days, and this morning she'd gotten a phone call from Blake's assistant offering her a job. Not at a restaurant, at Ashford Industries. As Blake's personal assistant, it was a trap. It had to be. Blake Ashford didn't help people. He crushed them. But the salary they offered was more than she'd made in a year of waitressing. With that money, she could pay her rent, help her grandmother with medical bills, maybe even save a little. Besides, she had her own reasons for taking the job. Reasons Blake Ashford couldn't possibly know about. The lobby was all marble and glass, cold and beautiful like a museum. Men in expensive suits rushed past. Women in designer heels clicked across the floor. Lily felt like an alien in her department store dress and borrowed shoes. "You must be Lily." A woman with perfect makeup and a clipboard appeared. "I'm Sophie. I'll take you to Mr. Ashford's office." They rode the elevator in silence to the 45th floor. The doors opened to a space that looked like it belonged in a movie. Floor-to-ceiling windows, sleek furniture, art on the walls that probably cost more than houses. And behind a massive desk, sitting like a king on a throne, was Blake Ashford. He looked up when Lily entered. His expression didn't change. No surprise. No recognition of the cruelty he'd shown her 3 weeks ago. Just cold assessment, like she was a problem he needed to solve. "Sit," he said. Lily sat. "You're probably wondering why I hired you," Blake said, leaning back in his chair. "The truth is, I need someone who isn't afraid of me. Someone who'll tell me the truth even when it's uncomfortable. And you proved at Sterling's that you have a spine. You humiliated me," Lily said quietly. "You got me fired. You called me worthless." "I did," Blake agreed, showing no remorse. "I was angry. I don't like being embarrassed. But I've thought about it since then, and I realized something. You're right. I was a bully. And I don't need more people telling me what I want to hear. I need someone real." He paused, studying her face. "This job pays well. Very well. But it won't be easy. I work 80-hour weeks. I expect perfection. I don't accept excuses. If you take this job, you'll be at my side constantly, managing my schedule, handling my business, probably hating me most of the time." "I already hate you," Lily said. Blake's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Good. That means you won't fall in love with me like every other woman in this building. Can you start Monday?" Before you find out what Lily decides, make sure you've subscribed to this channel. Drop a like if you're enjoying this story, and comment where you're from. Things are about to get wild. Lily should have said no, should have walked out, should have found another way to survive, but she thought about her grandmother's medicine, about the bills piling up, about the rent notice taped to her door. "I'll start tomorrow," she said. Blake's smile grew. Even better. The first week was torture. Blake was demanding, cold, and impossibly difficult. He wanted his coffee at exactly 6:15 a.m., his meetings prepared down to the second, his calls screened perfectly. He spoke to Lily like she was a robot designed solely to serve him. Never a please. Rarely a thank you. Just commands barked out while he focused on whatever deal he was making, whatever company he was buying, whatever person he was crushing. But Lily watched, and listened, and learned. She learned that Blake Ashford wasn't just a CEO. He had connections to people who operated in shadows, men with scars and cold eyes, who visited his office late at night, deals that involved cash in briefcases, businesses that existed only on paper. She heard phone calls that mentioned names she recognized from news reports about organized crime. Blake Ashford was more than a billionaire. He was dangerous. And Lily had known that before she took the job. Because Lily wasn't really a waitress looking for a better life. She was something else entirely. Something Blake hadn't bothered to discover. Because he'd looked at her and seen only what he expected to see. A poor black girl who needed saving. Someone beneath his notice. Someone who could never be a threat. He had no idea who she really was. 2 months into the job, things started to shift. It began small. Blake asking her opinion on a contract, then asking about her weekend. Then, one late night when they were alone in the office, actually laughing at something she said. "You're different," he said one evening as they worked past midnight on a deal. "Most people are so busy kissing my feet, they forget to be human. You treat me like I'm just a person." "You are just a person," Lily said, not looking up from her laptop. "A person with too much money and not enough kindness, but still a person." Blake laughed, a real laugh this time. "See? That. Nobody else talks to me like that." "Maybe they should," Lily said. She felt his eyes on her. When she finally looked up, his expression had changed. Softer. Curious. "Why did you really take this job?" he asked. "You could have walked away. Found something else." Lily shrugged. "I needed the money." "That's not the whole truth." He was right. But she couldn't tell him the real reason. "Not yet." "Maybe I wanted to prove something," she said instead. "To you, to myself. That I'm more than what you thought I was that day in the restaurant." Blake nodded slowly. "You've definitely proven that." The moment stretched between them, heavy with something Lily couldn't name. Then Blake's phone rang and the spell broke. But after that night, things were different. Blake started asking Lily to join him for meetings. Not just to take notes, but to offer opinions. He listened when she spoke. Argued with her sometimes, but in a way that felt like respect, not dismissal. He stopped barking orders and started asking requests. Started saying please and thank you. And sometimes, late at night in the empty office, they'd talk about real things, his childhood with a father who measured worth in dollars. Her life growing up with a grandmother who taught her that dignity mattered more than wealth. His loneliness at the top, her dreams for a different future. "I was wrong about you," Blake said one night, 3 months into her job. They were standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the city lights. "That day at Sterling's, I judged you without knowing anything about you. I'm sorry." It was the first time he'd actually apologized. "Thank you," Lily said quietly. "I mean it." Blake turned to face her. "You're brilliant, Lily. You're smarter than half the executives in this building. You see things others miss. You care about things I forgot how to care about. You've made me want to be better." His hand reached out, hesitated, then gently touched her cheek. Lily's breath caught. This was dangerous territory. She should step back. Should remember why she was really here. Should remember that Blake Ashford was not just a lonely billionaire, but a man involved in things that could destroy lives. But his eyes were so sincere, and she was so tired of pretending. And for just a moment she let herself imagine that this was real, that he truly saw her, that maybe, somehow, something genuine was growing between them. "Blake," she whispered. He leaned in, his lips almost touched hers. Then his phone rang. Blake pulled back with a curse. He answered the call, his voice immediately cold and sharp. "What?" Lily couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but she watched Blake's face change. The softness vanished. His jaw clenched. His eyes went hard. "I'll handle it," he said. "Get everyone to the warehouse. Now." He hung up and grabbed his coat. "I have to go. Emergency meeting." "At midnight?" Lily asked. "It's complicated." He paused at the door. "Go home, Lily. I'll see you tomorrow." But Lily didn't go home. She waited until Blake left, then followed him. She'd been preparing for this moment since the day she took the job. She knew Blake had secrets, knew he met with dangerous people. And tonight, she was finally going to see exactly what Blake Ashford was hiding. She followed his car across the city to the industrial district, staying far enough back that he wouldn't notice. He parked outside an old warehouse and went inside. Lily parked a block away and crept closer. Through a grimy window, she could see Blake with 5 other men. They stood around a table covered with photographs and documents. One of the men was Carlos Dante, a name she recognized. He ran half the illegal gambling in the city. Another was Viktor Sokolov, known for laundering money through fake businesses. Blake was in the middle of them, clearly in charge. "The shipment arrives Thursday," Blake said, his voice carrying through the quiet night. "I've got the port authority paid off. Victor, your trucks will be there at 3 a.m. Carlos, your people will handle distribution. If anyone asks questions, they disappear. Clear?" The men nodded. "And the prosecutor asking questions about our operation?" Victor asked. Blake's expression didn't change. Already taken care of. She had a very unfortunate car accident this afternoon. Nothing critical, but enough to make her think twice about pushing further. Lily's blood went cold. Blake wasn't just connected to criminals. He was one. He ran an operation that involved smuggling, bribery, and apparently arranged accidents for people who got too close to the truth. This was bigger than she'd expected, more dangerous. And she had it all on video. Her phone was recording everything through the window. She was so focused on the meeting that she didn't hear the footsteps behind her until it was too late. Well, well, a rough voice said. What do we have here? Lily spun around. A massive man in a leather jacket stood behind her, arms crossed, blocking her escape. Lost, little girl? He asked, his smile showing gold teeth. Lily's mind raced. She could run, but he was bigger and probably faster. She could scream, but no one would hear in this empty district. She could fight, but she'd lose. I was just, she started. Spying, the man finished. Yeah, I can see that. Boss is going to want to talk to you. He grabbed her arm in a grip like iron and dragged her toward the warehouse door. Lily fought, but it was like fighting a mountain. Within seconds, she was inside, thrown to the floor in front of Blake and his associates. Blake's face when he saw her was something Lily would remember forever. Shock, betrayal, fury, horror. Lily? His voice cracked on her name. What are you doing here? She was outside, the big man said, recording you through the window. Every man in the room went still. Several hands moved toward weapons hidden under jackets. Blake's eyes found the phone in Lily's hand. His face drained of color. Lily, tell me you didn't, but she had. And now she was trapped in a warehouse with 5 criminals and the man she'd started to fall for, the man who'd just revealed himself to be everything she'd suspected and worse. I can explain, Lily said, her voice shaking. Explain? Blake's laugh was bitter. You've been spying on me, recording my business. How long, Lily? How long have you been playing me? I'm not, Lily started. Don't lie to me, Blake roared. I trusted you. I told you things I've never told anyone, and you've been what? Working for the FBI? The police? Some rival trying to take me down? Hey, I know you're on the edge of your seat right now. Before we get to the reveal, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what you think is going to happen. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? The next part is going to blow your mind. Kill her, Carlos said casually. Can't risk her talking. No, Blake said immediately. Nobody touches her. She has evidence, Blake, Victor said. Evidence that could put all of us away for life. She's a liability. I said no. Blake's voice was steel. We'll figure this out, but nobody hurts her. Why? Carlos asked. Because you've got feelings for the little spy? That's weak, Blake. And weakness gets us all killed. Blake turned to Lily, his eyes burning. Give me one reason why I shouldn't let them do what they want. One reason why I should believe you're not here to destroy me. This was the moment. The moment Lily had been building towards since the day she took the job. She stood up slowly, wiped the dust from her knees, and looked Blake straight in the eye. Because I'm not here to destroy you, Blake, she said quietly. I'm here to save you. Blake laughed, harsh and disbelieving. Save me? From what? From yourself, Lily said. And from them. She turned to face the other men in the room. Carlos Dante, Victor Sokolov, Jacob Wright, Frank Morrison, Daniel Chen. She named them all, watching their faces change. I know exactly who you are, what you do. Every crime, every deal, every body buried in the New Jersey wetlands. Carlos pulled a gun. Who the hell are you? Lily smiled, and for the first time since Blake had known her, she let her mask slip completely, let him see who she really was. My name is Lily Harrington, she said. My family owns Harrington Global Industries. Maybe you've heard of it? We're worth about $43 billion, give or take a few million. My grandfather started the company. My father runs it now. And I've been trained since I was 12 years old to take over when he retires. The room went silent. Blake stared at her like she was a stranger. Last year, Lily continued, my father asked me to investigate Blake Ashford. He'd heard rumors about Ashford Industries, about the side businesses, about the connections to organized crime. He was considering a merger, you see, A partnership that would join our two companies, but he needed to know if the rumors were true. She pulled out her phone, holding it up. I didn't come here to destroy you, Blake. I came here to understand you, to see if the man behind the reputation was worth saving. And what I found was someone more complicated than I expected. You lied to me, Blake said, his voice hollow. Everything was a lie. Not everything, Lily said softly. The coffee spill was an accident. You really did get me fired. I really did need the job, just not for the reasons you thought. And everything that happened between us, she paused, her throat tight. That was real. At least, it was for me. Blake turned away, his hands in his hair. This whole time. You've been playing me this whole time. I was doing my job, Lily said. Just like you do yours. My job doesn't involve lying to people I care about, Blake shot back. Doesn't it? Lily challenged. You lied to me about your business, about what you really do, about who you really are. How is that different? Because I was trying to protect you, Blake shouted. I kept you separate from this part of my life because I didn't want you tainted by it. I didn't want you hurt. And I was trying to protect you, Lily said. Blake, these men, she gestured at the others in the room, they're using you. You think you're in control, but you're not. They've been setting you up, building a case that makes you the fall guy for all their crimes. When the FBI comes, and they will come, they're going to find your name on everything while these men disappear. Blake's eyes narrowed. That's not true. It is, Lily said. I have the proof. Bank records, emails, documents that show how they've been routing everything through your company. They're not your partners, Blake. They're parasites. And they've been bleeding you dry while making sure you take the fall when everything collapses. Carlos raised his gun higher. She's lying, trying to turn you against us. Am I? Lily pulled out a folder from her bag and threw it on the table. Check for yourselves. Those are copies of the financial records. See whose name is on all the illegal transactions. See who's been stealing from the operation. Victor grabbed the folder, flipped through it. His face went pale. Carlos, what the hell is this? I don't know what she's talking about, Carlos said, but his voice wavered. $3 million, Lily said. Skimmed off the top over the past year, funneled into Carlos's personal accounts. He's been stealing from all of you. The warehouse erupted into shouting. Men drew weapons. Accusations flew. And in the chaos, Blake grabbed Lily's arm and pulled her toward the back exit. Run, he said. They burst out into the alley, the sounds of the argument behind them growing louder. Blake dragged Lily to his car, shoved her in the passenger seat, and peeled out of the parking lot just as gunshots rang out behind them. For 5 minutes, neither of them spoke. Blake drove like a man possessed, taking turns too fast, running lights, putting distance between them and the warehouse. Finally, he pulled into an empty parking garage and killed the engine. The silence was deafening. Say something, Lily whispered. Blake's hands gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles went white. I don't know what to say. I don't even know who you are. I'm still me, Lily said. Everything I told you about my life was true. I just left out a few details. About my family. About why I was really there. A few details? Blake laughed, bitter and broken. You're a billionaire heiress. Your family probably has more money than mine. And you let me think you were poor. That you needed me. That I was helping you. I did need you, Lily said. Not your money, not your job, but you, the real you, the person you are when you're not trying to be the terrifying CEO. The man who works until midnight because he actually cares about his business. The person who once told me he got into this life because his father told him kindness was weakness and he was trying to prove him wrong. And what about the other stuff? Blake asked. The recording? The investigation? Were you planning to use it against me? Lily was quiet for a moment. I don't know, she admitted. At first, maybe. My father wanted evidence. Wanted to know if you were too dangerous for a partnership. But then I got to know you. And I realized you're not evil, Blake. You're trapped. You made some bad choices when you were younger, and now you can't get out. She reached out and touched his hand. He didn't pull away. Those men back there, Lily continued, they're not your friends. They're using you. And if I hadn't shown you that tonight, you'd have ended up in prison or dead within a year. That's what my investigation found. That's what I couldn't tell you. Blake closed his eyes. So what now? You turn me in? Destroy my life to save your father from making a bad business deal? No, Lily said. Now we fix this. Together. Blake opened his eyes and looked at her. Really looked at her. Why would you help me? After everything I did to you? After how I treated you? Because, Lily said softly, despite everything, I fell in love with you. The words hung in the air between them. You're insane, Blake said. Probably, Lily agreed. But it's true. I fell in love with the man who started apologizing to his staff after I called him out. The man who donated $1 million to the children's hospital after I mentioned my grandmother had her life saved there. The man who stayed up all night helping me prepare a presentation, even though it had nothing to do with his business. That's the real you, Blake, not the criminal, not the bully. The real you is worth saving. Blake stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he leaned across the console and kissed her. It wasn't like in the movies. It was desperate and messy and tasted like fear and hope mixed together. His hands tangled in her hair, her fingers clutched his jacket, and for one perfect moment, the world narrowed down to just the two of them. When they broke apart, Blake rested his forehead against hers. I love you too, he whispered. God help me. I love you too. Then let me help you, Lily said. Let me save you. Blake pulled back. How? Lily smiled. My family has lawyers, the best money can buy. And we have connections too. Not criminal ones, but legal ones. Politicians, judges, people who owe us favors. We can make a deal. You testify against Carlos and the others. Give them everything they need to bring down the whole operation. In exchange, you get immunity. I'll lose everything, Blake said. My company, my reputation, everything I built. No, Lily said. You'll lose the parts that were built on crime. But the legitimate parts, those stay. And if you need help rebuilding, well, she smiled. My father is very interested in a partnership with Ashford Industries. The clean version of it. Blake laughed, the sound surprised and genuine. You've got this all planned out. I've had 3 months to think about it, Lily said. 3 months of watching you, learning who you really are, and deciding that you're worth fighting for. She pulled out her phone. I have recordings of tonight's meeting, clear evidence of Carlos and the others admitting to crimes. I also have documents showing how they've been setting you up. With that in your testimony, the FBI can take down their entire operation. And in return? Blake asked. In return, you get a second chance, Lily said. A chance to be the person you were meant to be. The person I know you can be. Blake was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded. Okay, let's do it. One more thing, Lily said. When this is all over, when you've rebuilt your life and your business, when you're finally free, she looked him in the eye. Take me to dinner. A real dinner. No lies. No games, just you and me. Blake smiled. A real smile that made him look younger, lighter. Lily Harrington, are you asking me out? I am, Lily said. What do you say? I say yes, Blake said. To all of it. The testimony, the fresh start, the dinner. He kissed her again, softer this time. And whatever comes after. 3 months later, Lily stood in the courthouse watching Carlos, Victor, and the others being led away in handcuffs. Blake sat in the witness stand, his testimony clear and damning, giving the prosecutors everything they needed. It had been a hard 3 months. Blake's arrest made headlines. The scandal rocked the business world. His company's stock plummeted. Half his board resigned. His face was plastered on every news channel as the billionaire CEO with mafia connections. But true to her word, Lily's family helped. Their lawyers negotiated Blake's immunity deal. Their connections ensured fair treatment. And when the dust settled, Blake walked out of the courthouse a free man. Outside, reporters swarmed. Cameras flashed. Questions were shouted, but Blake ignored them all. He walked straight to where Lily was waiting, pulled her into his arms, and kissed her in front of the whole world. The photos were on every website by evening. The headlines wrote themselves. Billionaire CEO and Harrington heiress. A love story. But Lily didn't care about the headlines. She cared about the man holding her. The man who'd been given a second chance and was determined not to waste it. Ready to start over? She asked. With you? Blake said. Always. 6 months after that, Blake stood in front of the rebuilt Ashford Industries, now in partnership with Harrington Global. The company was smaller, cleaner, focused on legitimate business. It would take years to restore the reputation, to rebuild the empire. But Blake was ready, and he wasn't doing it alone. Lily walked out of the building, her heels clicking on the marble floor. She was dressed in a power suit now, no longer hiding behind a waitress uniform. Her hair was down, her head held high. She looked like exactly what she was: powerful, brilliant, unstoppable. "How'd the meeting go?" Blake asked. "We got the contract," Lily said, smiling. "The hospital network agreed to our terms. We start building the new children's wing next month. They decided to use their combined resources for good, building hospitals, funding schools, helping communities. It turned out that power and money could do a lot of good when you actually tried." Blake pulled Lily close. "You know, people are going to talk about us, about how we got together, about everything that happened. Let them talk," Lily said. "We know the truth. That's what matters." "And what's the truth?" Blake asked. Lily smiled up at him. "That you were a bully who learned to be better, that I was a spy who fell in love, that we both made mistakes and both chose to fix them, that we're better together than apart. That's a good truth," Blake said. "The best truth," Lily agreed. They walked into the building together, hand in hand, ready to face whatever came next. Because that was the thing about second chances, about redemption, about love. It wasn't about being perfect. It wasn't about never making mistakes. It was about choosing, every day, to be better than you were yesterday. And together, they were choosing exactly that. Lily had learned that day in the restaurant that Blake Ashford was a bully, a criminal, a man who measured worth in dollars and treated people like objects. But she'd also learned that people were more than their worst moments, that beneath the anger and the pride and the fear, Blake was someone who wanted to be good, who could be good with the right motivation. And Blake had learned that the girl he'd dismissed as worthless, the girl he'd humiliated and belittled, was actually the strongest person he'd ever meet, that she saw through his masks and loved him anyway, that she believed in him even when he didn't believe in himself. They'd both learned that power wasn't about money or control. It was about choosing kindness, about using your strength to lift others up instead of tearing them down, about second chances and forgiveness and love that didn't quit even when things got hard. Standing in the lobby of their combined empire, looking out at the city that had witnessed their worst moments in their redemption, Blake and Lily knew they'd found something rare, something worth fighting for, something real. And as the sun set over the skyline, painting the windows gold, they made a silent promise to each other: to never forget where they came from, to never stop trying to be better, to never take for granted the second chance they'd been given. Because some stories don't end with revenge or heartbreak. Some stories end with two people who were broken, finding each other and becoming whole. Some stories end with love winning not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. This was that kind of story, and it was just beginning. If this story touched your heart, if you felt every moment of their journey from enemies to lovers, from deception to truth, do me a favor right now. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear a story about second chances, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what part of this story hit you the hardest. Your support means everything and helps us bring you more incredible stories like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.